Okay, if you're watching the video, you may want to jump forward about 8 or 9 minutes before the actual meeting starts. We're trying to get set up here. Pamela, can you hear me? How are you tonight?
I'm good. Are you going to talk any about the SIAP? Since our first task is due.
I wasn't planning to, but I certainly can do if you'll ask that question.
Okay, because I read the description, but then I also remember hearing that we could possibly use some of our work on our previous artifacts.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to correlate that.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. It's actually in your Blackboard.
It is?
Yeah, it's up in the top left-hand corner. It says templates.
And it tells you how to correlate?
Okay.
It tells you how to correlate what we've already done?
It tells you how to cut and paste practically.
That's what I need to know. Let me look for it.
Yeah, see if you see it there.
Oh,
It's just a thing called templates up in the left-hand corner.
Okay. I was deep in all the discussion boards. Give me just a second.
Sure.
Here we go. It's under intern materials.
Oh, it's not template?
Yeah, the SIAP final evidence template.
Aha, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, there we go. Yep, in the red it tells you which task to put in there.
Yep. Which parts of which task or whatever. I think it's supposed to be cut and paste. I've never written one, obviously, but I understand it's the easiest part of the whole track.
I'm up for that.
I bet. It's been a long one, hasn't it?
Yeah, just really trying to get it done. Okay, that works. Thank you so much.
When we look at our weekly calendar, I'll bring that one up again.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good.
See other people beginning to join us. How's everybody tonight? Am I getting any reverberation or is my voice coming through clearly?
That's a little better.
Better?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the right volume. Give it a few minutes here to catch a few people up. Hope everybody's had a good week. It's starting to dry out anyway. I just found out today my family owns a condo down at Riceville Beach. And we thought everything was fine from the exterior pictures, but unfortunately some water got in under the roof and collapsed the ceiling in one of the bedrooms. Got some work coming up. What is that? if you're tuning on this on the videotape, you still want to be holding off for a couple more minutes here. If you tuned in with us, just hang on and let's give everybody a chance to join us. Just another voice check. Does that sound all right, or is it a lot of background noise? I can sort of hear myself. That's why I asked.
There is a little bit of background.
Let me go back down a little bit more. Is that any better? How was that, Pamela?
I still hear like the echo.
Yeah, I still got a little echo in mine too. How's that?
Say another sentence.
Pamela, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay.
That sounds a little better.
Okay, I'm going to leave it here tonight. Okay, let's try to remember that's almost half volume. Hopefully we get that right in the future. One more minute, you guys. Thanks for being here a little early. Okay, I've got 6 o'clock, so I promised I'd start. So let's see if we can get going. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you again. And I'd like to wish again that everybody's drying out and getting rid of Florence in their lives. I got a little bit of mine coming up, but I'll get through it. Anyway, first task, review the calendar for the week. Tonight we're going to go to the assistant principal interview, which is actually your session board assignment also. The reason we're going to do that is because I think it's probably the single best assignment that we do the whole semester. And I want to get into it a little bit deeper from both the principal and the assistant principal's point of view. Hopefully you'll find useful things in there about leadership, looking for jobs in the future, all sorts of stuff. So we'll work on that, and remember, as a discussion board, it is the only one that's required for the whole semester. Everything else you have a choice of two. But this is the first come for everybody does.
I'm sorry, which one is required?
It's the discussion board assistant principal interview.
Okay.
Okay, and it's in this week's stuff. If you just click on week 5, you'll see it in the list. Okay.
Okay.
Or if you take notes tonight, you might be able to do it. No, you can't. You're supposed to actually interview your A1 and AP. The other thing that's due this week is the CAP final. It's time to be wrapping those up. Have a couple of people running ahead and a couple of people running behind, but that's always the way it is. But, to keep yourself on time, it's time to be using the Dropbox for your whole CAP 1 through 4 training and assignment. Remember, before you do that, take out all the superfluous instructions, etc., that don't need to be there. Go on and create yourself a single document that flows from CAP 1 to CAP 4. Page numbers from 1 to N, however many pages you've got. One reference section at the end, all your appendices, etc., at the end. Just make it into one paper. And then when you save it somehow that differentiate it as yours, your initials or your last name or something, so that when it gets into that big mass of documents in the evaluator's boxes, it doesn't get confused and get lost. That's their request, by the way. So you do your Dropbox for turning in. As long as it passes turning in, I'll assume that you've had all the 4 checked and edited and feel confident that you're proficient in each one of them, and suggest that you go and send it in. That means it's time to start SIAP, which, glory be, is the final evidence that you need to do towards this certification. I'm sure you all will miss writing more and more and more as the next semester arrives. Anyway, if you look in Blackboard in the top left-hand corner, under intern materials, you'll find something called Final SIAP template. So look for the Final SIAP template, and it will basically tell you how to cut and paste what you've done in the past to create the SIAP. You'll have very, very little that's new and fresh to write, if anything, maybe some segues between the sections. Okay? So just look at that template when you get to that. When you finish CAP, you're in good shape to finish this thing up. Okay. Any questions about any of that? Okay. I want to go over this. I did that already. I want to go over this administrative interview protocol in a little more depth than the discussion board does, because I think, like I said, it's the single best assignment to do this semester. It delves at the heart of what being an assistant principal or principal is, and can also help you prepare for what hopefully are many future interviews. Well, hopefully just one future interview that gets the job, but in case, these are the kinds of items you need to keep up with as time goes on. Question 1 on that interview is, please tell us briefly about your journey to school administration. This is going to be on your interview. I can almost guarantee you. Someone's going to ask you, how did you get there? You know, so my answer is, I started out in student services, worked as a counselor and a school psychologist. Felt like I had a limited opportunity to really work with lots of things in education. So along the way, got a master's in guidance, a master's in school psychology, and the administrative certification. Picked up a job as an assistant principal in an elementary school. Worked there 3 years. Moved to a middle school for 4. Then was hired to be principal of an elementary school in Charlotte Meg. Worked at that school for 3 years. Moved over to a magnet elementary school, a gifted magnet. Worked there 3 years. 3 years is sort of a theme for me. Then moved over to my first middle school principalship, which was to open a middle school in a very challenged part of Charlotte. So this is probably the most exciting part of my career, honestly. It was about 5 years there. And then moved from there to another middle school with the charge to start a partial Montessori magnet, which was very, very cool, and enjoyed it thoroughly. But my body started giving out on me, so it was time to retire. And now here I am asking you questions. So who would like to just give a brief rundown for them? How did you get where you are now? Butt right in. Someone's got to talk.
Well, I guess I'll get started. I've always wanted to be an administrator, but I knew I had to be in the classroom first, so I started in the classroom. I decided that I wanted to make sure I was at least in there. I wanted to do about 10 to maybe 15 years, because I didn't want to run into any teachers who had been in the field a long time who would say, what can you say to me, because you hadn't been around long enough. So I wanted to make sure I was in there a while. And just now coming into it's just now coming into focus. And I ran, but
good. Well, 10 years is according to the research, where you used up your usability. So that's good timing, moving towards something different. The literature says that teachers level out after 10 years for the most part and don't tend to get a lot better. So you probably make good use of your time. Okay. How would this be different if you were looking at it for a prospective assistant principal as a prospective principal? Anybody got a thought on that? What sort of difference would it be when I interviewed as a school psychologist as compared to when I interviewed as an AP looking for a principal's job? What sort of difference do you need to talk about your journey? Let me ask it a different way. Will you get the same questions or maybe looking for the same answers when you interview for a principal AP job as when you interview for a principal's job? Will they be the same questions?
I think that we'll be looking for more as a prospective principal. I think they will be looking for experience as an AP. They will already be looking for leadership experience and success in those areas.
They'll be looking for you to know what you're talking about.
Right, right.
Not sort of knowing what you're talking about. Perfect. Let's move forward. Next one they always ask is, what are you reading professionally? Now, you may or may not be reading, well, right now you ought to be reading a whole lot, so it should be simple. How can you set yourself up for that in the future? When you're out of school, you don't have to read whatever his face is over there in the textbook. How are you gonna deal with this question? Because this will come up too, almost certainly. Ideas, volunteers.
You're asking how are we going to set ourselves up to best answer the question?
Yeah.
I think the best way to answer that question is to make sure that you're reading something, that you're digging into something maybe that deals with leadership. There's a ton of books on that. There's always some literature out there that you can invest in. I think the best way to answer that question is to, in fact, be reading something.
Always have something on your nightstand. Whether you're reading it for hours every night, who knows? But always have something on your nightstand. Like Good to Great, the book we talked about the first night. That's a great one to keep on your, it's real thick, so you can use that for years. But that is basically the way you do it, to be sure you're reading something. Are you a member of any professional organizations? This one I'm going to step up on the soapbox tonight. You need to be a member of your professional organization, both from a professional learning situation, but also as a protection situation. I always stayed a member of NCAE. Even after I went into principalship, they have a principal's division. And should I have ever, which I wasn't, been bothered by a superfluous lawsuit, they would have been there to support me. If you're operating in a school without having any kind of background for legal issues, you're really walking a tightrope without a net, in my personal opinion. Other than that, ASCD is a good one. There's a bunch of great organizations that keep you well-read and well-rounded. You get in one that watches out for your back professionally in case of a lawsuit. Any question about that? If you don't have one, get one tomorrow. Join. It's time. It's not that expensive.
Quick question: is that the organization you're talking about? Is that one for administrators mainly, or is that one for teachers?
NCAE is one that was primarily for teachers, and it's been a while, but it had a offshoot for administrators. Now, it may not have been the best. It may or may not have been the best source of information, but it was the best and cheapest support for some legal backing in case of an issue.
Okay.
Now, if you do it wrong, they're not going to support you. If you just flat messed up, they won't help. But if it's a superfluous lawsuit, someone saying you were in the wrong place, the wrong time, whatever, it's worth doing. What do you think the most important aspect of school leadership is right now? What do you think?
Student performance.
What's that?
Student performance.
I'm sorry, I still heard you.
I said student performance.
Student performance? Most important aspect of school leadership is student performance. Okay? You really believe that?
Well, impacting students. They perform, I guess, based on what we believe about them. And so I think if you're impacting them, then they perform well, and that means you've tapped into where they are.
Okay, but now there are people who will go into a school for a year and jump the student performance scores up 20 points and then move on because they know good and well they can't do it 2 years in a row because they just pushed it. What do you think? Is that okay?
No, it's not okay.
Yeah, there's one of the things that could be great, if you remember reminding us, was we want to do something that has lasting impact. And if all we think about is what percentile on grade level at the end of the year, our lasting impact is probably not going to be there. If we have great results with people and also great results with test scores and student performance, I think we've done an excellent job. There's more to school, I insist. There's more to school than test scores. You may not always want to use that answer because I may not be hired by your district. How do you think that might vary between assistant principal and principal? What might the difference be between the way a principal looks at school leadership and an assistant principal looks at school leadership? Well, someone else needs to kick in. Okay. I will tell you a story. Our first PTA.
I think
You're breaking up. I hear a voice, but I can't hear the words.
yeah, I was speaking, but I was getting some feedback, so I muted.
Oh.
I didn't know what was going on. I just heard a lot. But I think right now, what I'm seeing, I guess observing my current principal go from being the assistant principal and now the principal, and the current AP go from being a counselor to the AP. I'm looking at the different roles and responsibilities of each one. So they are going to think that different things are important, especially when you have a different stress level and different deadlines, different things that you have to report. It's going to look, what's important is going to look different from an AP and a principal.
The assistant principal job is dramatically different from the principal's job. And a lot of people don't realize that when they first take the principal's position, but it's completely different. I think it would be very hard to be in a school, either as a staff member or the people involved, where I was the AP and moved up to be the principal, or the counselor and moved up to be the AP. I think that the relationships with others are so completely different. Others sometimes don't accept that you're in a new position. Sometimes you don't accept that you're in a new position and have to do things differently. Old alliances are still there that you have to worry about and break down. Could be your best teacher, your best friend on the staff, is a mediocre teacher. As a guidance counselor, okay, but as an assistant principal or principal, you've got to do something about it. And that can be very, very difficult with people that you care about. Good point. They are very different. My first PTA as a principal, I was running around setting up chairs and doing this and doing that. And my assistant principal came up to me and said, "Mark, go sit down." I said, "What?" And she said, "Go sit down. Our job is to make you look good. If you're running around, we're not doing our job. What's important is that you can go up there and be calm, cool, and collected because you don't have to worry about a thing and know that we have your back." And I thought that was just incredibly wise, and
Wow.
what I used with all my assistant principals from there on out, because you're working for that person as an AP. I mean, I hadn't always had my philosophy of school. That wasn't always in line with what the principals, as an AP, what the principal's philosophy of education was. But as long as I was working for him or her, it was my job to go in the office and complain or gripe or argue. But once we left the office, I was her assistant principal, and I was going to back up what she said unless it's illegal. Okay. Question 5, how do you manage multiple initiatives mandated by outside forces while meeting the needs of the school? This is a big one because you'll get it. What are you going to do? How do you do it? You know your school better than anybody. Someone else is telling you you got to put in this new reading program or this new discipline program or this new whatever program, and you don't think it's going to work or don't care for it, especially. What you going to do?
I would prioritize and delegate as needed.
How would you delegate? What do you mean by delegating in that position?
Well, you might have some initiatives that, or some type of initiatives that are a collaboration, and you might need some support from your teachers. So you might have to have a focus group or a subcommittee that would work towards putting that information together.
Okay.
So some pieces I would delegate, but also the main component is prioritize and make sure you know what, based on your deadlines, what comes first, second, and third.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you follow through on initiatives from the district office for certain, or from the state or the feds. So you got to mess with it. You got to tweak it. You got to make it work at your school. What do you think they're looking for in this question? What do you think they're looking for? I think I mentioned this to you last week or somewhere along the way. Maybe it's a different class. I never know anymore. But when you become an administrator, you become one of them. You do realize that, right? You've crossed over into Darth Vader territory. You've walked over to the other side, and you can't go back. So you can't one day be everybody's buddy at school. Oh, he's all for me, and then the next day trying to work with your district office. You were them. You are now part of that team. And you can't go in and one way you can't handle this is to go into a staff meeting and say, well, the district told us we got to do it, so we better do it. That's not the way to approach it. You got to own it, take it. I really like the idea of delegating it to a group so it becomes an ownership of the school and something that you can go forward with. So I've been visiting CC1s this week, doing my CC1 visits. I do all middle of South Carolina. If I was talking to you as a first time, just got in the program, 3 weeks in, what would you tell me to tell them that you wish you'd known before you started this program? It's easy, don't worry about a thing? No? What can I tell them? I have 6 more to go. And I want to take them a message from 605 class. People are just about ready to finish. What can I tell them that you wish you'd known before you started? Come on, it has to be something.
I was really lucky. I had someone who had just finished the class talk to me.
Ah,
And he really just laid it out exactly what it was going to be like, that it was pretty much going to take over your life, but it was for a year. And the most important part was getting it done.
okay. So that's the most important piece of advice, getting it done.
Yeah, and staying on track, keeping the schedule, making sure you get it finished.
A good piece of advice. I wish several of mine along the way had heard that. I can't tell you how many final discussion boards I've read on the day before the close of grades in the last 7 years. Any other advice someone wished they had or wish they'd had before they started this thing?
I would just say don't read for, for the sake of the assignment. Read for your own good. You need it.
Good point. What have you read for your own good?
So put me on the spot, I wasn't even thinking. Just thinking about, I know a lot of what I guess I clinged on to the most was and this might have been a previous class, but like a lot of the laws and a lot of the like the kind of like the law side of everything, and the policies, the procedures, like you got to get that out of the way. Like you got to know that bottom line, like kind of like that's kind of like a bottom line need to know. You at least better know this. If you don't know anything else, you better know, these things.
Yeah.
Your emergency plans, and you making sure the building is safe, and
So
it's just kind of like a need to know.
So Mels 3 was 603 was your most important course, it sounds like.
It was I don't know if it was the most important, but it was kind of like a wake up call a little bit. Like it opened my eyes a lot more to administration. Like as much as you want to see, you don't really see it until you put yourself in those shoes.
When I started, no one ever taught me about finances. There was no class. The class on finance was about how counties raise money in their tax base. It had nothing to do with a school budget. The principal I worked for, I loved and adored deeply, but she never taught me about a school budget or how to get things approved. So my first principalship, I go in, and the principal for me was fantastic. She had notebooks of information and test information and who went where and how they had these things planned. And she gave me a notebook for this playground they had built out, that they were proposing to build outside. They raised the money, they had it banked. All we had to do was, she told me, was pick a contractor and go. So I picked a contractor and went. And someone pointed out to me that I'd never gotten it approved from anyone downtown. I mean, this is after they'd already broken ground or working. I'd never gotten anything approved from downtown, and then officially, I was on the hook for $60,000 worth of playground equipment until I got that approved. Well, when you're a first-year principal, you get away with, I'm first-year principal, I'm stupid, thank you. And I ran it all over the education center in Charlotte and got it approved, and all was well after that. But it's the kind of thing I think you're talking about. You need to know that stuff in advance. And if it has anything to do with anybody's money or the safety of anybody's child, make sure you know what you're doing before you get going. Thank you. That was perfect. When you were a kid thinking about being a teacher, how is the reality different from what you thought it would be like? Or whenever you decide to be a teacher? I'm going to teach school, and my class is going to look like this, and this is going to happen in my class. How was it different?
Well, one of the things I imagined myself doing was actually getting to teach. Without a lot of the stuff that the instructional stuff that goes into our career. I never imagined that stuff. So things that are like add-ons to our career. I never imagined any of that. I just imagined making an impact with the students that I'm teaching, and just imagine them lights going off in their heads and them saying, "Great, I finally get it." That sort of thing. That's what attracted me to teaching.
But that's not what you found. Anybody else have something? What did you think teaching would be like, and how is it different? Let me ask you one more. When you're a principal, how do you think that'll be different from what you thought it would be like?
I guess you just don't, until you've been in the environment, you don't know the way that other people think and the way that you're dealing with all these different types of perspective.
I will tell you the thing that shocked me when I became principal, and stayed shocking for 14 years and still shocks me, is that there are adults, teachers, who don't do what they're supposed to do and don't care about teaching. That just astounds me why anybody would stay in the classroom and put up with all that grief for no more money than it allows. I'm still perplexed by that whole dynamic. I suspect all of you will be too. It's really odd to think that someone knows just what to do and then just doesn't do it. Odd. What's been your greatest professional challenge as a Mels student, besides keeping up? Number one challenge.
Balancing everything. I struggle with balancing a lot.
Sure.
Balancing teaching my students, balancing the leadership roles that the principal gave me because I want this.
Right.
Balancing home life. I still gotta cook and do laundry and eat and go to church and everything else. So that's what I found the most challenging. It's not that I couldn't do one single thing, that doing them all together at the same time and prioritizing it was a challenge.
So you think those skills will come in useful in the future?
Definitely.
Yeah, it only gets worse. Yeah, I don't know if you have kids or not, but make sure you don't leave them when you go into administration, because sometimes you're paying a whole lot of attention to other people's kids and realize yours grew up. You know what? We've been talking over half an hour now. I'm going to save the rest of these and pick up with them next time, because I won't really want to delve into them. We're on question 9, and next Tuesday we'll pick up there, because again, I think this is the most important assignment you do all semester. So as you look at your discussion board, if you haven't already done your interview, make sure you get that one done, because it's super important and super useful. I hope everybody has a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday night, and we'll continue to delve into these questions about what is it that you look for, what will you be doing, and how will you know you've grown up enough to do it. Okay? You guys have a good week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good one, you guys.